Let us pay homage to the lineage gurus. Homage to the Venerable Mang Liao Ming. Homage to Master Sakya Tsung Kung. Homage to His Holiness the 16th Karmapa. And homage to Master Dukten Dorji. Homage to the three jewels of the altar. Homage to the main deity of the group practice tonight, Guru Padma Sambhava. Sumo, Tansen Katsu, Dukten Siddhi, Dukten Karma, all Dharma masters, Dharma lecturers, Dharma teachers, Dharma instructors, Dharma teaching assistants, temple and center directors, and all disciples present here and over the internet. Good evening, everyone. How do you do? Those are greetings in different languages and sign languages. And we're supposed to move the clock back this evening, so you should move forward at the time 1 hour, meaning we will lose 1 hour of sleep. Normally we already have not enough time to sleep, and now we lack 1 more hour. Oh, that's too tiresome. I feel too tired. Normally, I don't even have enough time to sleep, and now I would have 1 hour less. That's really hard. Why are they sorry? Why are they moving it forward an hour? Wouldn't it be better to move it backward? So now it seems that they are still the daylight saving time, but there are also countries that don't adjust any time for the summer. So in this world we can't have all place or all countries to be exactly the same. That's why there are conflicts and fightings. Even the times are different. And some driving on the left, some driving on the right. There's no standard. So human beings are troublesome animals. Now let's do the Q&A first. question from Malaysia. Lotus or Lianhua Yichong. Prostrations to my Guru, the Venerable Lin Song. May Guru be healthy every day. I seek your guidance. There are two questions. One, Grand Master has often mentioned that until one reaches the 8th ground of Bodhisattvahood, there is still the possibility of retrogression. It is commonly understood that arhats in the 4 sixthly realms or 4 holy realms have already severed samsara. Does this mean that those esteemed ones who have severed samsara but have not reached the 8th Bodhisattva ground still face the possibility of retrogression? If so, how can this be considered as having severed samsara? Let me tell you. If you cultivate and reach the 4 sexually realm, then you would naturally cut off samsara. They will not fall into the rebirth cycle again. And if you're cultivating Bodhisattvahood, you need to reach at least the 8th ground before becoming the immovable or the non-regression. But the 4 sixthly realms are all non-regression. Why? Because they have cut off all desires. No more desires. Because the desires are the cause or the origin of samsara or rebirth. If you still have joy, you like light and despise darkness, then you would go to the realm of form. Even if you go there, you will still have to be reincarnated, because you still like the light radiance. So although you don't have physical body, but you're still abiding in the light. That's called the heavenly realm of form. So in the Brahma heaven, you still need to be reincarnated. That's spoken in the Buddhism. Because you still have the concepts of colors. If you reach the realm of formlessness, there is no more form, but you still have the subtle little bit of thought. Like in the Akanishta heaven, there is still thought. So because there is still a thought, you still have to be reincarnated. So the infinite form, infinite emptiness, non-existence, and then no thoughts and no thoughts, or the highest realm. However, there is still a little bit of thought there. Therefore, they still need to be reincarnated. Unless you cut off everything, like arhats who have cut off everything. 8th ground Bodhisattvahood. Why are they non-regressing? Because they have attained and proven the unborn endurance. If you can comprehend unborn or no birth, you will not have any desires. So unborn endurance is a fruition. So, and the fruition is to understand and realize birthlessness. And since there is no birth, there is no death. With no birth and death, there is no reincarnation or rebirth. So above the 8th ground, bodhisattvas also cut off samsara. And of course, our hearts in the 4 sixthly realms also cut off samsara, because they have realized birthlessness. If you read the sutras, the Mahaprajnaparamita Sutra, the Vajra Sutra or Diamond Sutra, and the Heart Sutra, they are all about unattainability. You don't ask for anything. It's unattainability. You have no more desires. You have no more forms or colors, no more thoughts. Then you cut off samsara or rebirth cycle. So for liberations, there are liberations through non-phenomena, liberation through non-action, and liberation through emptiness. 3 kinds of liberations, and also liberation through non-generation. If you don't generate or you don't give rise to any thought, then you would be liberated. So our hearts have cut off samsara, although they don't deliver sentient beings and they are of the lesser vehicle, but they have killed the 6 thieves. And what are the 6 thieves? The eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. Killed them all. Second question. The Master has mentioned that the Vajra Sutra frequently speaks of the 4 non-phenomena and about illusions, dreams, bubbles, etc., emphasizing emptiness. On the other hand, the Vimalakirti Sutra expounds the non-dual Dharma gate, which does not lean toward either emptiness nor existence. These sutras seem contradictory. May Grandmaster instruct us how to apply their teachings? Should we contemplate emptiness to severe afflictions, and should we contemplate existence to give rise to bodhicitta? So it's like this. Existence is because of the start of affinity. Due to start of affinity, there is existence. Before it, it is emptiness. When the affinity ends, it returns to emptiness. Like now, I'm giving Dharma teaching. This is existence. Before I was born, it was emptiness. After I die, it's also emptiness. And in between, only in between, there is existence. The Dharma gate of non-duality is not biased toward emptiness nor existence. So that's the philosophy of the middle way. So there are 2 schools of thoughts or divisions, the emptiness and existence. And the Vajra Sutra belongs to the concept of emptiness, non-phenomena of self, others, sentient beings, and lifespan. And all existences are just illusions, dreams, bubbles, and shadows. And why are we talking about existence? Yogacara belongs to existence school, that everything is mind only or consciousness only. But if you deduce it to the end, it's alaya consciousness. And then according to the research on consciousnesses, there's the 9th consciousness called Amona, and one more consciousness called the immaculate consciousness. So we talk about existence due to the start of the affinity, start of the causes and conditions. Without causes and conditions, there is nothing. So primarily, that's what it's about, emptiness and existence. There are no contradictions, because it's mentioned in the Vajra Sutra and Vimalakirti Sutra are not contradictory. They're not contradictory. Because at the end, Vimalakirti is non-dual Dharmakirti is about unspeakability, it's about not saying anything. He didn't say anything. Manjusri Bodhisattva asked Vimalakirti, what is your Dharmakirti of non-duality? And Vimalakirti did not say anything. That's emptiness. So all those existences are just starts of affinities. Due to starts of affinity, there is existence, but the intrinsic nature of the start of affinity is emptiness, and before and after it is also emptiness. So Vimalakirti asks what Dharmakirti of non-duality is. He did not say anything. So that says that start of affinity is also emptiness. That the nature of the start of affinity is emptiness too. That's the answer to Lian Hua Yi Chong from Malaysia. If you're not satisfied with this answer, you can ask the True Buddha Foundation. Now we will discuss the Surangama Sutra. We'll continue the Sutra Exposition. At that moment, the Tathagata arranged his seat and sat in serene composure. Before Sakyamuni Buddha gives Dharma teaching, he would arrange his seat. So, to arrange his own seat and get it ready, and then he sat on the Dharma throne. It's often written in the sutras. So when Sakyamuni Buddha was preparing for the Dharma teaching, he would arrange and prepare his seat first and then sat on it, expounding the profound and sublime to the great assembly. In all Dharma teachings, he would teach the more profound and sublime concepts, which is the ultimate and the meaningful and important Dharma. Such a Dharma banquet or Dharma assembly of pure assembly was unlike anything before. Everyone came to listen to the Buddha, and it was inconceivable. It's often mentioned that in the sutras about, and it's unlike anything before. So the Dharma ceremony or Dharma assembly is like a Dharma teaching. The sizzling voice of the Buddha was like Kalavinka birds. So just like the sound of the Kalavinka birds. Kalavinka birds are birds in Sukhavati, and they produce the graceful, harmonious sound, so that anybody hearing it would naturally be mindful of the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha and practicing the 37 aids to enlightenment naturally, automatically. Like nowadays, when we hear songs sang by the song artists, and they're just beautiful, beautiful voice, beautiful voices. Sometimes at night, before sleep, you listen to the songs by the song artists, and your mood will be changed. Don't watch the news. Car accidents here and there, that would affect your mood. For sleep, fightings, murders, fire, all the news that would contaminate your heart and mind. But if you listen to the beautiful music, then you would feel relaxed and nice. It's different. So at night, sometimes Sumu and I and my family would play some music at home. Then I would be in a good mood, would feel relaxed and happy. So the sound of Sakyamuni Buddha's giving Dharma teaching is like Kalavinka birds, very marvelous and sublime, very beautiful, not hoarse like I am now, a little bit. His voice was really beautiful. The voice of the Dharma teaching, just like the songs of the birds. And Kalavinka birds are even more unique, because in Sukhavati, the western realm of utmost bliss, because of this kind of sound or music, that they would naturally be mindful of the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha and practicing 37 aids to enlightenment. You're not forced to it, but by hearing the music, you would naturally be you would think or be mindful of the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha and practicing 37 aids of enlightenment. So sometimes music can change a person's state of mind or emotion. So that's why musics are very important. You cannot discriminate against them. See, if you go to the churches or Catholic church, they have choirs. And hearing to those, your mind and heart are purified and you feel really good. So we should also have Buddhist choirs. So every time before the Dharma teaching, we should just sing the hymns, Buddhist hymns, and then you would feel very good listening to it. So that's how it really is. I was the choir member and wearing white dress and with the tie, and in a group when we all sing. We all sang, and the voice were very beautiful, so that everybody entering into the church would feel peaceful and pleasant. And there are musics in Buddhism too. I remember there is one music let's all repent together. Have you heard of it? That's really beautiful. It's very nice. So when you hear it, you would feel repentful. So our True Buddha school, the choir group, we should ask them to sing. Every time before we start, we all should sing like the hymns. And then you feel at ease and at peace, and then you listen to the Dharma teaching. That would be meaningful. So Sakyamuni Buddha produced the sagely voice like Kalavinka birds resounding throughout the 10 directions. His voice was very nice to hear. As numerous as the sands of the Ganges, Bodhisattvas gathered at the Dharma assembly. So all the Bodhisattvas, upon hearing such a sound, came to attend Sakyamuni Buddha's Dharma ceremony. At that time, Manjushri was the foremost. So, Manjushri Bodhisattvas is part of the Avatamsaka Trinity, with Sakyamuni Buddha at the center, Manjushri Bodhisattva, and Samantabhadra Bodhisattva. So Manjushri Bodhisattva is a Dharma prince in that realm. Like in Sukhavati, there are Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva and Mahastama Bodhisattvas who are Dharma princes. And in the Surangama assembly, Manjushri is the Dharma prince. In the Surangama realm, Manjushri is the Dharma prince. He is with the greatest wisdom among all the bodhisattvas of Mahayana. So in Mahayana, Manjushri has the greatest wisdom. In Hinayana, Sariputra is considered with the greatest wisdom. At that time, there was a king, King Prasenajit. King Prasenajit was a great benefactor and supporter of Buddha Dharma. He was also living in the city of Sravasti. At that time, King Prasenajit, who was a king in central India, in that area, the city of Sravasti was also in central India. Was holding a grand feast in memory of his late father. So, anniversary of his late father's death, he prepared many delicious foods So, in memory of his late father, he created a merit, which is like offering meals. Like now, we have that too. You're inviting everybody for a meal, essentially. So he invited the Buddha to the palace and personally welcoming the Tathagata Sakyamuni Buddha. So he invited Sakyamuni Buddha to accept the offering of meals. And he personally went to Anathapindika or the Jetavana monastery to invite Sakyamuni Buddha to go to the palace for a banquet, offering an array of the finest delicacies. Of course, because it's an invitation by a king, then we would not eat a dried radish or millet porridge, but of course they have the finest delicacies, very, very with delicious food. Additionally, he invited great bodhisattvas to join. So the king personally invited all the great bodhisattvas for this meal offering. Meanwhile, in the city, elders and lay devotees were also offering meals to the monastic community. So in the city, there were also elders and laity. In ancient India, the elders refer to those with money. So the rich ones and the elderlies and those with positions and status, they're all elders. They're called elders. And then another kind is called lay practitioners or laity. So the haves and the at-home practitioners were also offering meals. So not just the king, but they also but the rich people in the city also offer meals to all the spiritual cultivators, eagerly awaiting the Buddha's arrival to accept the meal offering. The Buddha asked Manjushri to lead the bodhisattvas and arhats to accept the offerings of the various hosts. So Sakyamuni Buddha instructed Manjushri Bodhisattva to lead the other bodhisattvas and arhats to go into the city to attend the meal offerings of those benefactors. So the hosts, which is like benefactors who have prepared many delicious foods and inviting you for meals. However, Only Ananda had previously accepted a separate invitation. Only the Venerable Ananda, before this Dharma assembly, due to an invitation, went alone and had not returned. So Ananda in Chinese, Anand, a cousin of Sakyamuni Buddha. So they are related. At that time, there were 8 princes becoming ordained, and Ananda was one of them. And Ananda had also served Sakyamuni Buddha for close to 20 years. Ananda, close to 20 years, a close attendant of the Buddha. And someone else invited him all by himself and was away on a journey. He went away on his own, leaving the Sangha to go to another place and had not returned. Unable to join the monastic assembly. So he did not attend the meal offerings. Having neither a senior nor an acharya. So what does it mean? He went on his own. So a senior monk who has been ordained between 10 to 20 years. That's called the upper seat. Someone with an upper seat. And so he was by himself. And he was not accompanied by a senior monk who had been ordained for 10 to 20 years. Nor an acharya. What is acharya? In Tantrayana, there are 4 kinds of acharya. The Vajradhara, the great radiant holder Vajra Acharya. They have emit a clear light radiance. Through mantra chanting, you can radiate a clear light radiance. So the great light holder Vajra Acharya. When I was conferring the Acharya empowerment, they wrote it as, it's a Chinese form. So that means great light holder, meaning that you have generated light through mantra chanting. So Acharya means sadhana teacher in Tantrayana, the great light radiance Vajra Acharya, a great light Vajra Acharya, and then Vajra Acharya, and the last one is just Acharya. So the most basic is just an Acharya who can understand all the practice procedures or sadhanas. So that's like a master. So he was not accompanied by a senior who's been ordained in the upper seat, nor a master who understands sadhanas. He returned alone after accepting the invitation. Now he's on the way home. That day, he had no one to offer him food because he did not attend the meals offering. Of course, he was hungry. So he had to go for an alms, holding his alms bowl. So thus Ananda took his alms bowl, so the bowl where people can put alms into. In simple words, like the rice bowl. But the monks called it as an alms bowl to put the food in. So Ananda took his alms bowl and walked through the city. About to enter the city, seeking alms in sequence. When the ordained monks would go from house to house asking for alms, Ananda was doing that. In his mind, he sought a final donor to act as his meal sponsor. So he's looking for his meal sponsor or donor. So I need to explain that he did not discriminate between pure and impure. It does not matter what kinds of food they give, what kind of person the giver was, whether he was pure or impure. Because in India, there were 4 classes or castes. One is the Brahman caste. That's the highest. And they are cultivators. And then Kshatriya, which refers to the royalties and the nobilities. Second, the third one is called Shudra. So that's merchants and traders, Vaishya, and the last one is Sudra. The third one is Vaishya. The fourth one is Sudras, which is in India, which is the common people, commoners. Or say like the butchers, laborers, and for women would be the prostitutes. If a woman is a prostitute, then they would be considered Sudras, in the Sudras caste. So 4 caste systems: Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishya. That's the third, and the fourth is Shudras. So in India, there are the castes, and they don't interact with each other. So at the lowest level are the Shudras. So it's written here that he did not discriminate between pure and impure, whether you're of the high status or low. He would still go for alms from them, whether they were of the noble Satriya caste or the lowly Chandala. That should be the Shudras. He practiced universal compassion, equality, so he did not discriminate the four castes, like that my meal donor should be pure or of high status, or the lowly. So he viewed sentient beings to be equal, to disregard the system of castes. Without choosing based on status or wealth. He did not choose the rich one or the poor one. He has made this vow that when he went for alms, he would not especially ask from the rich or the poor. That he gave the same immeasurable merit to all of them. Ananda was aware that the Tathagata, the world-honored one, had previously admonished Subhuti and Mahakashyapa. World-honored one means to be honored by the world, by all the people. So Ananda knew that Sakyamuni Buddha had previously admonished Subhuti and Mahakashyapa, because Sakyamuni Buddha once reprimanded Subhuti, who especially asked from the rich people. Actually, Ananda too, before this. He did not eat food given by the lowly people. He always ate the food of the rich people. And Mahakashyapa was different. He especially seek the poor people for alms. And they were both reprimanded by Sakyamuni Buddha because they did not have the mind of equality toward all beings. Why did you choose the rich people? To seek for alms? Because rich people would give you good food and they will not become poor. So that was the answer given by Subhuti and Ananda. But for Mahakashyapa, by asking for meals from them, by eating the food of the poor and the lowly, by giving you food, you need to give them blessings so that they will be blessed in the future. That's how Mahakashyapa thought. And Subhuti had another viewpoint. If you ask from the poor people will become poorer. But if you ask from the rich people will not become poor. So they have differing viewpoints. But both of them were reprimanded by Sakyamuni Buddha. You have to be equal, equally treat. Doesn't matter who you go. You just go to whoever, whether they're high or low status, rich or poor. So Sakyamuni Buddha admonished them to have the mind of inequality. So now Ananda knew, and listening to Sakyamuni Buddha's words, to treat everyone equal. So that people do not slander or skeptical toward the Buddha. While walking past the city walls, like the moat around the city walls, so he proceeded with a composed demeanor. He walked slowly past the city walls and crossing the moat, maintaining dignified manner, walking step by step, observing the precepts of receiving alms with solemnity. According to what Sakyamuni Buddha said, that they should have a certain demeanor of the Sangha. You cannot just stroll and swaying or looking around. There is a certain manner where you should look, where you should place your arms or hands, and your outfit has to be tidy and clean, tidy. So at that time, during his alms round, Ananda happened to pass by a brothel. So he was passing by a brothel, and all the same, you should also go ask for alms there, because they are of the lowest caste in India. So he passed by a brothel where there he encountered a great illusory force. So they knew how to cast spells, Brahman mantras or that mantra, and would like hypnotize you. Actually, you don't even have to do that. Even before they cast any spells, you already walked into it. Confucius says food and sex are human nature. You still have that tendencies. Great spiritual cultivator has meditative stability. Like an acharya, to be an acharya, you have to have that mental stability. They understand about the procedures and what is allowed, what is not allowed. That's an acharya. And a senior from the upper seat, the cultivators for over 10, 20 years, generally, they already have meditative stability too. They have meditation power. But not Ananda. Ananda did not have meditation power or meditative power. Although he was by the side of the Buddha as his attendant, he did not have meditative power. He just heard the most. He just liked to listen, but he could not apply it. He could not do it. He had no meditative stability. So there was a prostitute that was called Matangi. Using the ancient Brahmanic spell of Sabika, entranced him and led Ananda into. And when he saw this Matanga lady, he followed her. What is that called? That was in Taiwan. And she would walk to in front of you, and they would just wave their handkerchief, and with a certain fragrance, you would be like hypnotized, and then you would follow her into the bank and got all the money and give it to her. So the prostitute can also cast spells. And then before even she did that, Ananda already followed her, as let alone if she chanted the mantra. He became very lustful. Ananda did not have meditative stability. He only started practicing after the Buddha entered Parinirvana. So the prostitute chanted the mantra, and Ananda just followed her obediently and to lay on the bed and took off the clothes. And she caressed his body. So he was actually at an advantage. So Ananda, as an ordained monk, was keeping the precepts, but that woman deluded him, asked him to be in bed, taking off all their clothes and touching each other. So that's very serious. Before the two of them did anything, but who would know? Who knew what had happened? And they were already in the room, in the chamber, and already taking off the clothes. But the sutra said they broke the precept already. So a typical Buddhist should abide by the 5 basic precepts: not to kill, and not to kill, not to steal, not to have sexual misconduct, not to lie, and not to drink or become intoxicated. And then the sexual misconduct. So that precepts would have been violated. He was about to violate the precept. Okay, that would be all. It's time. It's already 10:10, which is the same as 11:10 with the change of time. Do you understand now? There was a man came to the company, and the name was Joy. So yeah, this is Chinese joke. At the end of year party, I got the special prize, and the prize is to chat with the boss for an hour. That's a special prize. Ordering meals at the restaurant, the customer said, "This dish is too salty." And the server said, "Oh, sorry, because our chef is heartbroken recently." Well, heartbroken and being salty, what's the relation? Oh, because he was crying when he was cooking. So the tears fell into the dish. That's why the dish was very salty. Yesterday in the hospital, a lady asked, how do you go to the prostrate? Why you want to go there? Oh, so let me secretly tell you. The doctor just told someone that they have inflammation on the prostrate. Oh, this is also another Chinese homophobe joke. A kind of people often have amnesia. It must be the head, the boss of the gangster. Do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? So he's having an amnesia, but that's not the case. They want you to know that he's the boss of the mobster. Om Mani Padme Hum.